Hey YouTube, Brian from channel Huckster here. Today I'm going to be showcasing my budget alternative deck for Dark Magician as requested by Frog Gaming 5674. As I said before in my previous video, this deck can be incredibly expensive with souls and impermanence and all that. So I try to kind of find a way to keep it within the $100 range. And been playtesting it a little bit, and I think I'm pretty happy with what I have right now. Again, by no means is this deck going to be nearly as strong as the previous ones or, the other people's that they might post. But, as for just a kind of fun budget against friends, maybe take to locals and win, I think that this style of the deck can really function just as fine. So, it's getting right into it. So, obviously starting out, nothing changing with the 3 Dark Magicians. I'm not going to go as much in this deck's depth as I did in my other video, because I feel like, if you're new and you're trying to pick it up, you could just see that one, and then I'll go more in depth for the newer cards, but, Dark Magician, of course, sticking around. I do still run the one Dark Magician girl, and in fact, I feel she's even more important in the budget version than she is in the non-budget version. Bringing up from the 2 that I run in my version, Apprentice Illusion Magician, I bring up to 3 in this one. She, again, I feel like she's more important because we're going to be actually running Navigation at 3 copies in this version since, Navigation isn't a bad card, and, I'm not saying just run it because it's cheap, whatever. It's definitely, you need to see Dark Magician in your hand more now since you're running this, since you're not able to send it to the graveyard off of souls. So, I also will go through all the prices of the cards. So, trying to run this at a budget, you can get 3 copies of Dark Magician for about $1, no problem. You can get a Dark Magician girl for like a quarter, we'll just kind of round approximate prices. We'll just say you can get her for $1. This is one of your more expensive cards in the deck. She runs at about $4 a copy right now for the unlimited version from the Magical Hero set. Going on to Rod, again, the Stratos of the deck. He's cheap. You can actually get him for like a playset for $1. He's been reprinted in a couple things as a common, so he should be easy to get. For the newer edition, also as a playset in this deck, but also being able to get as $1, I run Keeper of Dragon Magics in the budget deck. So why do I run this card? Well, you'll see that we actually run a couple new fusion cards in this, and he makes it a lot more viable. So a lot of people don't like this card because he takes up your normal summon, which you kind of want to give to Rod. He's just kind of might be dead. He's easy kind of hand trap bait. But, he's really not that bad. So when he's normal or special summoned, you can discard a card and then add a Polymerization normal spell or a Fusion normal spell from your deck to your hand. Like I said, we'll get into that when we get there. But then, why you also want to run the 3 Apprentice is because you want Dark Magician in your hand, so you can use him, discard the Dark Magician to the graveyard, add the Polymerization, and then using his secondary effect, you target a monster from your extra deck, which we'll just quickly show it there, would be your Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, because Dark Magician specifically listed on its name for that as material. Summon the Dark Magician in defense mode using his effect, then you fuse off him as a dragon and your Dark Magician to make Dark Magician the Dragon Knight with the Polymerization you added. Again, he's not a card you typically see ran often, but I really do think he's a very underrated card, especially if you're just kind of casually playing around. So he's one of the newer additions that I feel is worth looking into. And that's actually it for our monsters. You can run hand traps, Veiler's cheap, DD Crow's cheap, you have a couple options if you do want to run that. Or if you have maybe your own hand traps from other decks too, like Ash Blossom, maybe you could incorporate that. Going into the spells, again, nothing changes with Dark Magical Circle, lets you look off the top of your deck. And again, you can get this card as a playset for $1 too. It was reprinted as a rare in Magical Hero. Magical Hero reprinted a lot of these, so that really did help bring this deck down to a budget level. Unfortunately, I want to say you could maybe cut this all together, maybe down to 2, but I played it, and really I do think Soul Servant needs to stay. And I would say out of the expensive cards in your deck, this is the one that really tops it. This card's still sitting at about $9 a piece. So, you're almost at 3/10 of your budget for the entire deck just from this playset alone. But it's so powerful to the deck, as I explained, allows you to put things on top of your deck to get from circle to be able to add them. It gives you that extra draw power the deck needs. It's really too good, and I don't think it's overly expensive. It's not like the 85 that Magician Souls is. It's not like the, I believe, like 35 that the Dark Magicians is. It's just enough to where I think you can include it in a budget. If you want to drop it down, maybe to 2, I think you could get away with that, but it gets really close. So, I still think 3, but I could understand lowering it if really it's just that too high for you. Getting into, again, some more of the stuff. Secrets of Dark Magic, you could just pick up those for like a quarter, 50 cents each. That's fine. Going in now with why, again, I said Dark Magician Girls, again, more important in this budget version than in my main version of the deck. Because, well, yes, it's for fun, but I also feel it's more of a blowout card than people really give credit to. I do run the Bond Between Teacher and Student and the Dark Burning Magic. So, in case you don't know these cards, since again, they're not really ran in too many, with Bond Between Teacher and Student, if you have a Dark Magician on the field, you can special summon a Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or graveyard, doesn't matter where, and then you can set one of few cards. You can set, Dark Magic Attack, her version of it, Burning Attack, the twin magic one that no one runs. You can do those, but obviously the big one is Dark Burning Magic, which makes it that if you control, obviously, monsters whose original name are Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, you get to wipe your opponent's entire board. That can actually really be incredibly strong and disrupt, your opponent, and sometimes just they can't have a comeback for that. If they're building up in a combo and you shut that down, they might not have anything, and then, worst case scenario for you, you have 4,500 damage on board with your Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. So it's not, so strong, and these cards are bricks. They really are. This version of the deck does obviously run more bricks, but it's... Again, you're having fun, it's a budget version, and these cards aren't too much. It's about 3 for Bond and 2 for Dark Burning Magic. So again, if you wanted to cut them, maybe you put the hand traps in there, like I said, that's always an option. But I do think that these 2 cards actually are stronger than people really give credit to. Now coming in with another new card, going into with our dragon monster from earlier, the Fusion Deployment. This card was actually mentioned in the comment section when I talked about making the budget, and I already had this card in mind. This card I feel is incredibly underrated. You can pick up this card for about $3 a piece, maybe like $10 a playset, we'll say. It's really strong, and I'd honestly suggest picking it up right now while it's so low, because I feel like it just takes a certain deck to make this card be incredibly strong, and this card could easily double, triple in price. So what this card allows you to do is you can reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck, and you'd special summon from your hand or deck one of the materials listed on that. So obviously, just kind of like for getting into some of the cards we do run 4 cards in the extra deck that are fusions that do include monster-specific names. So you could then, obviously with this, you'd be summoning Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. Typically, obviously you want Dark Magician, but Dark Magician Girl is there as an option. And again, what a lot of people don't seem to think with this card too is it actually is a normal fusion spell. So you actually can search it off of Keeper of Dragon Magic. So I really think that this card's strong. It just puts your Dark Magician on board. It kind of gives you that Dark Magician turn 1 that Souls kind of does, where if Dark Magician before Souls kind of had a problem putting Dark Magician on the board turn 1, except for kind of going out of janky ways to do it. This card obviously just kind of, you reveal, you slap down the Dark Magician. So I think it's a strong substitute for it. Going into other fusions, we do run the 2 Super Polys and the regular polymerization. So the regular polymerization is just kind of be able to search off a Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, for the fusion of him using Keeper of Dragon Magic and Dark Magician using the combo I mentioned earlier. Super Poly unfortunately can't be searched through Keeper of Dragon Magic considering it's not a normal, it's a quick play. But, just this is a really good budget card. You can obviously pick up Polymerization for less than $1. Super Polymerization is about like $2 to $3 a piece right now from the Shadal structure deck. So, it helps you break boards. Obviously, it's good because you have... I include a couple monsters in the extra deck that are just really cheap, that are just kind of super poly targets to eliminate your opponent's board. Obviously, you have some of the cards I showed you that we'll get into later that, can be used with super poly. So it's just a really strong kind of board break card. And it's really not expensive since it's gotten actually reprinted, I think, 3 times within the last year. And then just kind of finishing up on the fusion, I do still run the 1 instant fusion. Same for my previous deck. It's for Darkfire. It's for Thousand Eyes Restrict. Obviously, we don't run the Millennium Eyes Restrict. Even though he got reprinted, it's still sitting at about $10. So that's kind of pushed the budget a little too high. But even instant fusion is actually searchable off of Keeper of Dragon Magic, being a normal fusion spell card. So, again, you can get instant fusion for about $1. It was in the Shadal structure deck. Magical Hero and Shadal structure deck will really get you a lot of the cards you need for this budget version. So maybe if you're building, a Shadal deck too, that's a good way to just kind of get the best of both worlds. Same there, again, Shadal structure deck. We are running the Allure of Darkness. It's about $2 a piece, so $6 for the playset. Not bad. Same as before, draw power is strong in this deck. You do obviously run every single monster in this deck being a dark, so you can afford to banish 1 or 2. That's it for the spells. Getting into the traps, same as before, we run the 3 Eternal Souls. Like before, again, I said you could drop it down to 2. You can, it's really kind of up to personal preference since it is searchable, but I still like it at 3. And, again, this card's about $1 a piece, so it's super budget and cheap to get. Recently reprinted, obviously, too, in Magical Hero, and like I alluded to earlier, Magician Navigation. So, again, like I said, you don't see this card too often anymore, but it's really still not a bad card. So, it lets you summon out your Dark Magician from your hand, and then you could go in from another Dark Magician to make a rank 7. You can go into Apprentice Illusion to make, another Dark Magician in your hand from her effect. You can bring out Dark Magician Girl, so you can use your Dark Burning Magic if you already have that set. You can use, just kind of getting to it, the last card in the deck, Magician's Combination. So, that's why I say Dark Magician Girl is even more important in the budget version, since a lot more cards revolve around her. And then it obviously still has the Negate from Grave effect, which is still very strong. And then Magician's Combination, a lot of people don't run this card. I wish this card let you summon Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician from the deck for its negate effect, but then it'd be a one of, and honestly probably every Dark Magician build. The problem though is it's another combo piece, and like I mentioned before in the previous Dark Magician deck profile that really got into stuff, you have so many pieces. You need 3 pieces to really make this deck work. So just having this as a 4th piece thrown on it really just kind of makes it like a dead card sometimes. Sometimes you just search it off of Rod, but you need maybe Circle or Eternal Soul, and you need those much more than you need this card. So it is a good card, and when you do have this, it does provide an extra, negation effect by being able to switch out your Dark Magician and your Dark Magician Girl to be able to do that. And then, obviously if you switch out Girl to summon Dark Magician, then you have Circle in the field, you get the Banish too for more disruption. So it is a really good card still. And this card runs you for about $2. So pretty much your main deck here, you're looking at is about $80. And, I think that's really not too bad. The extra deck there, one of the cards that we'll get to, that runs you for the other half. So, the big bulk of it here, again, like I said, some of these are switchable. You don't need to run combination. You could drop the Soul Servant maybe down to 2. That will get you an extra $9 to be able to put in other stuff. You could put hand traps in. So stuff is interchangeable. You do run a lot of 3s. Maybe you'll play it and you'll kind of decide, maybe I only like 2 of this, and you could put in other stuff. So that's the main deck. 40 cards. Nothing's really changing that. Again, you need as much consistency as you can get. So then moving on to the extra deck, like I showed earlier, we do run some of the fusions that specifically list Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. So this is where it kind of hits really hard. Currently, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight is sitting at about an $11, $12 card, so that's pretty much taking up half of your extra deck budget right there. So, and I feel like he's the one you really need. He's the one that you want to fusion summon off of Dark Magician, with a Keeper of Dragon Magic. You want to summon him off of that. He'll protect your back row and stuff. You know what he does. He's like the boss monster of the deck. Amulet Dragon, I threw him in here. If your opponent maybe has spells in the graveyard that they can reoccur, his banishing effect by banishing all spells is good. He can kind of OTK out. And if he does leave, you can special summon a spellcaster monster from your graveyard. So he's not awful, but realistically, you will 9 out of 10 times go into Dark Magician the Dragon Knight instead. Dark Cavalry is really just here as kind of the really more of the super poly target, where if your opponent maybe has a warrior out, and there's a lot of good warrior monster starters in the game. Just having Dark Magician, then Super Poly it together to make Dark Cavalry. He's not awful. So, he's about $1. This card's about $1. This card's about $1. This is really where it comes in. Unfortunately, that's the one you really need. And then Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, she's really just kind of here because, again, maybe you Super Poly your opponent's monster. If you have they have a dragon, you have a Dark Magician Girl. You can use her with the Keeper of Dragon Magic. She's okay. Again, it's really more of just for the name. And then, as far as the instant fusion targets go, we still run the Darkfire. We still run the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Same reasons as in my previous video. And again, like I said, it's even better since instant fusion's searchable in this deck. And then as for Super Poly targets, you can run more. The two that I'm kind of just running right now is just Starving Venom and Mud Dragon. They're just common ones. You can run Violet Chimera if maybe this deck you're trying to play against your friends or your locals. Maybe they like running Salamangreat, so you can run, Violet Chimera. Maybe they use Cyburst monsters too, so you can run Golem at Ignister. Just kind of whatever. It's really interchangeable. A lot of those cards, all the ones I named right there, are cheap. So these ones are both like $1. You can get him in the new Toon Chaos for pennies. This one you can get as a super. I forget what set it was in, but it came as a super and it's cheap. Going into XCs, I still run the Flare Metal Dragon. I now run a Mecha Phantom Beast, still with the Big Eye and still with the Norito. Norito, you have 4 level 6 monsters, so she's easy to make. Big Eye, again, same reason as before, stealing monsters. Going back to Dragon Ruler format with Big Eye and Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosack. Dracosack's just monster removal, being able to kind of make tokens and then pop your opponent's stuff by getting rid of the tokens. And then Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, same as before, is just kind of the burn your opponent late in the game. This card's about $1 for theirs. And then luckily Flare Metal Dragon just got reprinted in the new Season 1 set, so you can get that card in different colors, even if whichever one you like, for $1 too. So that really helps, because before that, I think even the gold rare was still a couple bucks. So even lowering it down to $1. And then last, we just run a couple links. I run the Imduck. I run the Link Spider and the Wee Witch. Again, all of these are pennies, and then I don't know, maybe 50 cents. So obviously you run the Link Spider and the Wee Witch, same as before. All your monsters are dark, power them up, just to kind of remove Dark Magician to summon again with maybe, say, Eternal Soul for Link Spider. And then Imduck is actually, again, just for before, he's a dragon that you make with just a normal monster, being the Dark Magician. So, there's some fun stuff you can do with that to go into Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. Really, the extra deck, you don't need as much. Really, I'd say the only cards in here that are really needed are just Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. And that's about it. So if you really even just want to save money and go even heavier into the main deck, really and truly, these are all mainly just kind of here to, you never know if you need them. I mean, really, yeah, like I said, the fusions, maybe. The fusions you might want to keep because you do run the instant fusion, the super poly. The XCs and the Links, you honestly could just drop to save money for the main deck. You can drop them for more instant fusion or super poly targets. It's entirely up to you. So that's my budget deck. I'm sorry it took so long. Work is ridiculous. My work gets really high up in volume around the 4th of July. So sorry it took so long to take an extra week to do this. I had a build and I just didn't like it. And, I'd rather not post the deck profile just because I want to get a video out. I actually want to post something that I'm proud of, and I really want, you guys to be proud of too. So that's my budget Dark Magician deck profile. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have a good night.